Hello YouTube family, this is Rev from my Rev It Up Mustang Fanatic Productions, and you know what time it is. Rev it up.
Brilliant, my love is pure. I saw an angel, of that I'm sure. She smiled at me on the subway. She was with another man. I won't sleep on that, 'cause I've got a plan. You're beautiful, you're beautiful, you're beautiful, it's true. I saw your face in a crowded place, and I don't know what to.
The reason we're changing these brakes and rotors, the brakes are not worn much, but the rotors are worn pretty bad. Everything is rusted. The car was sitting for quite a while, for over a year. So this is the reason we're changing the front brake and rotors, and we're going to do the same thing to the rear. So we pull the caliper out, and I want to slide that in the hole, and we want to hang this on the strut assembly so we can get this rotor out of the way. So now the rotor's out of the way. You can tell it's a single piston, and here's the brakes, and the brake sensor would slide into here. So I'll have to find out where that plug is, where it plugs into. But the brake pads slide out. It's got plenty of brakes, but you know, the rotors are worn, so you see the scars right here, and these can't be turned, and they come out just like that. The sliding pins are all right, but we're gonna get this all cleaned up and everything, and find out where that brake sensor is, where it hooks into, and we'll be right back. Okay, so we lubed it up, and we're just gonna, you want to twist it in, let that oil, that grease get in there, and then you just pop it, and you saw it pop in place, and then you just want to make it go back a few times, and she's good. Beautiful, beautiful movement. So now we're going to take out the bottom one, and we're going to do the same thing. Okay, Facebook family and friends, this is Rev it Up Mustang Fanatic Productions. We're here again with the 03 C230 Mercedes compressor. It's a 4-cylinder supercharged. We got the misfire code taken care of and some other sensors taken care of. Now we're going to do the front brakes and the rotors. And these brakes have what's called brake sensor, and the wire on this one is broken, so we'll be putting a new brake sensor in over on this side, but pretty much standard. Let me spin the rotor. We got to loosen this bolt right here for the rotor to come off, and we'll get the brakes off. I already loosened the bolt up, so as you can see, she's loose, so she's prepared to come off. So right now what we have to do is put our 13mm on the brake caliper here, bolt here, and the brake caliper holder here, and we'll access the brakes and we'll get the brakes out, and we'll show you that part. Okay, in order to get this caliper, the rotor off, we have to get these brake caliper bolts off here. And those brake caliper bolts, they were probably, let's see here, it was a 18mm to get these off, and 13mm to get the brake caliper bolts off. So we got the brake caliper off, and we're going to clean that up real good, because this is a Mercedes. Like Wolfie says, got to get it right. And we got to get this little tiny screw out of here in order to get this rotor off. So let me put my foot up here to brace it. Uh-oh, I dropped my my bit. Hey, bit, where did you go? Boy, he's sneaky. So with the brake out of the way, we're going to spray the brake hardware. And we're going to get a wire brush, and we're going to clean everything down. Get all the rust and grease that's on this. Years of dirt and grime for sitting, and that's shining up pretty nice. Let's get the inside one. Let's get this up here. Get this inside. Okay, now you guys seen me do this before. I would pull off the sliding pins, and I would wipe these down and put brake lube on them. So you've seen that done before. It's hard to hold the camera and do this, so that's what I'm going to be doing. This one and then the bottom one. Okay, after banging and beating, I had to turn the wheel all the way to the right, and I banged from behind, and the rotor is off. So now I got to use brake clean, and I'm going to clean this spindle up real good and put some never sees around here so this doesn't stick like that anymore. Okay, you got that right. And you know, the wife's gonna be driving it more than me, so I gotta make sure it's safe for her. I'm gonna be driving the SUV, so I'll be fixing that one up for me. Yeah. Yep. So you won't have to drive the little Woofy mobile all the time. As long as we have a good time, that's all that matters. You can see blue Loctite on that. So let's keep that together. Now, this rotor been on here for ages. So what I am going to do is nothing. This doesn't have that little screwdriver hole where you put the screwdriver, you put a bit in it and it will hit the back of the drum and it will screw out. This doesn't have that. Not that I know of. I see something here. Let me see. Nope, that's a bolt hole. So I'm gonna have to do some banging and beating to get this off. Well, unfortunately, those big sport rotors with the slotted holes in it were the wrong size, so I had to get the original ones, but at least they're clean. We got the Loctite, the blue, in, and we're putting the brake caliper holder in place. And these are torqued to about 130 foot-pounds. So I got my C-clamp on the caliper, and we are squeezing it in. Sorry for the angle, but it doesn't give you much room. The brake hose is just looped on the inside, so I can't pull it out much. I'm resting it on my knee, but you can see the piston retracting, which is a very good sign. And it's not hard to do it all. You see I can do it with one hand. And you just keep squeezing it until it hits that back wall, and when it stops, you're good to go. And it just hit the back wall. Now back off of it. Let that fall to the ground. And time to put the brake rotor in. Push the pin in. We push the pin in and line it up. We get our caliper bolts, and we want to put a little bit of the blue thread lock on it, just a little bit. Little dab of do you. And then we line it up, work it in place. Got the find the.
Clean that one off?
Yeah. Not like I wanted to, but
No.
it looks a whole lot better than it did. Well, you get the idea. I can't do this with two hands. And we take our caliper bolts with a little bit of Loctite on them, and we'll tighten these down. I normally do a good 2 umps. And she's tight. And you see how that brake rotor flows in there nice and easy now? That's what you wanted to do. And that's how you do brakes on a 2003 C230 compressor sport. 1.8 liter 4-cylinder supercharged dual overhead cam. This wire right here, it looks like this right here, and this was the old one. It was broken. That's why I had a code in there, ABS vehicle sensor. This wasn't hooked up, so that comes out, and then the new wires you slide into there, and then on the back of the brake you see that little hole right there, and there's a little slot. Let me get you one of the other ones here. Okay, there's that little slot right there. Okay, so you get the brake pad. The brake pad is in, and it goes downward. Let me focus. And it goes into that hole and it slides down. Okay, so that's how you do the brake wear sensor on that. And then you want to just make sure the wire is out of the way of the rotor and out of the way of the tire, and that goes down just about into the middle of the pad, a little bit past the middle. So when your brakes wear down to there, it'll start to touch this little contact right here, and that will let you know there's a short in the system, and you'll get a light coming on. So that's the only difference on doing brakes on a Mercedes, the front brakes. I'll try to show you just a little bit of this because it's hard to do it with one hand. I can't even see what I'm doing. I can't even see if the camera is focusing where I want it to. But you want to beat this right here, and see how that went in. Now I'm going to take this little punch that I got, and I'm going to put it in here, and I'm going to bang it until I bang that out through the other end. I don't have another hand to show it to you, but that's what you do. You beat it out until you get enough where you can get pliers on this end and pull it out, and I'll get back to you at that point. Okay, YouTube family and friends, this is the rear brakes. The rear brakes on a Mercedes 2 Class 230 is different from the front. in that, and it's a little bit more easier. This pin right here, you'd have to beat this pin out, and once that pin beats out, you got a pad on this side and a pad on this side, and you take grip pliers and you squeeze the piston in on this side, squeeze the piston in on that side, and the pads slide out, and then you slide the other pads in. This little retaining pin goes back in here, and then you got to beat this pin back in here. Now you beat the pin out from that side right there, and then you got to get a little punch and continue beating it. Then when you get enough on this end, you get a screwdriver, or not a screwdriver, a pair of pliers or vice grips, and you just twist and pull until you can get that out. And you don't have to take the caliper off, but in my case, since we're doing the rear brakes rotors, I'm going to have to take the whole caliper off. So there's a little bolt there and a little small bolt there, and right here back here, bolt there and a bolt back there, and we take the whole caliper off. But just like the front, I already beat this with a hammer, so I can get this screw out here. And you see they got Loctite on that. Okay, as you can see, my little made up punch that I beat, and you can see the end of this right here. You get channel locks, and right where the brake pad is and on the back, you squeeze in. So as I was saying, you would beat this, and you see this part right here coming out, okay? And when you get enough of it, then you get pliers and you pull on it, and you gotta push this pin in because that's pulling it out. So you push this part in and hold on to it because it's gonna pop right out, and you slide this pin out. Well, see how that, it just slid out, okay? And that's all you do, okay? Now, what I got to do is get some pliers. So we got the last bolt out, and it just slides right off. Now we got to do is just hang this out of the way. Okay, these rear rotors are real light, so behind here I'm taking the bolts out. So like I say, the pads came out. They're very simple. I'll put them back in so you can see. And what I did, I squeezed this in until the piston went in. Then you pull the brake out. Then you turn your pliers around and you squeeze this in until the piston goes in. And then the brakes just come right out, and the pistons are all the way in the bore. So if I wasn't changing the rotor, this would be over. That's how easy it is to do rear brakes on a Mercedes. So if I wasn't doing the calipers, I would take the rear brakes, the new brakes, and just slide them right in, just like that. Slide my clip and my pin in, and we'll be done. So that's all it is to the rear brakes. Now, these got a lot of meat on it. These are good brakes, but the rotor's in bad shape. It's been sitting for a year, so that's why we got to do these new ones. So now we're going to take the rotors off. It's the same as the front, 2 bolts, and we'll get those rotors off. So after using the hammer, we beat the old rotor off. We got the new rotor all cleaned up, and I kind of wire wheeled this, get it nice and a little bit cleaner. Now we're going to take and put again a little bit of anti-seize right around the lip back here, so this doesn't freeze on like that again. And just little bits and pieces here and there, and this will prevent that from sticking like that again. So we added the never seize to it. Now there's a screw hole where the screw goes, so all we have to do is line the rotor up according to that hole. Okay, and it goes over the hub like so, and we put the screw in. So okay, here's where it gets different. If you know me, when I do brakes, I usually use lube, grease, brake grease, but on Mercedes you don't do that on the rear brakes. You want to use anti-seize. Put them on the back side of the pads, which is going to go against the piston back there, and the brake side goes toward the drum, the rotor. And you never put it, and you want to get it on the sides of it, not the front, but on the sides of it, so the pad can slide in nice and easy. And then we go and do the other one. Okay, so the pad goes in. Now remember, I got never seize on the ends of the pads, and then on the ears we got the never seize on it. Then what you want to take and do is take your pin and you want to stick your pin in get your pin halfway in, then you want to get your bracket, and your bracket goes in there, and this pin got to go in front of that bracket like that. See how it's in front of that bracket? Now I can't hold the camera and do this at the same time. I got to push this pin in right here and then slide the pin all the way and bang it through that side. So I'll let you see what it looks like when I get done. Like I said, you put never seize on the end of the pad and then on the ends of the ears, and then you get it behind this little pin, and you take that pin, put it into a hammer, and then you get like a little punch thing like this here, stick it in here, and make sure that end is hit all the way out, and then your brakes are sealed and done. That's how you do it on the Mercedes-Benz C230k.